We live drums.
Hi, I'm Gary France, and welcome back to our informative videos on the world of percussion. Today's video is about the triangle. It's one of our oldest instruments that we use in Western music, and it came to us through the Janissary, the Turkish influence from the Ottoman Empire, and all the way from as early as the 14th, 15th century, we've seen triangles coming in. Basically, they're metallic noisemakers, and in the shape of a triangle. So it's a lovely ringing sound. The triangle, orchestration-wise, is the highest non-pitched instrument in the orchestra. When I say the highest non-pitched, we can compare that to our bass drum, where we talked about it's our lowest non-pitch. So the triangle creates a very, very high frequency, well, really a set of high frequencies that interact with all of the sound of the orchestra and shimmer on top. I'd like you to think of it sort of like if you're driving down the car and somebody opens up one of the windows in the car, how you all of a sudden have this feeling and sense of air. Or if you open up a window in your house and all of a sudden you can hear the outside, your home sounds bigger. This is how we think of the triangle. And first used in classical music in, I think, 1694, Lully wrote in his opera Thesi for the triangle, for the sound of lightning. So we see this beginning in Western classical music of the use of triangle, tambourine, bass drum, these instruments from the Ottoman Empire who creep in to create allusion in music. They allude to something else. Our triangle come in different sizes, from 4 inches to 10 to 12 inches. We have a wide variety of instruments. As you can see behind me, I've got all kinds of triangles here on the table that we're going to have a look at. They're made from steel, iron, brass, bronze, and you know, they all sound a little bit different. Of course, the same thing with our beaters. We have a wide selection of beaters, which I think you'll see, and whether they're made from steel or brass can affect our sound. Now let's get to the nuts and bolts. How do you hold a triangle and how do you play it? There are some people that feel you should play a triangle on a stand, and some people feel you should hand hold the triangle. I think that there's a time for both, and it depends on what we're doing. The basic triangle comes in, surprisingly or not, in many shapes, although they're all triangles. This particular triangle is a beautiful instrument made by the wonderful percussionist Alan Abel, principal percussionist for many years with the Philadelphia Orchestra, and just a wonderful player. And he discovered that the spindles from knitting mills, which were high tension steel, when they were bent into the form of a triangle, made a beautiful sound. So I've had this triangle for maybe 35 years. We have triangles going back all the way back to the 1920s in my collection. The first one I'm going to show you is from the Leedy Company, and this is the same type of a triangle that came with the drum kit I showed earlier. That would be the same drum kit that Chick Webb played. And this is about from 1925, 1930. And let's have a listen to this triangle. Before we have a listen, let's think about how do we hold them? Do we hold them in our hand? Do we hold them on a piece of string? You know, I see all kinds of concoctions for holding it. But let's again bring in the laws of nature, okay? If something is meant to vibrate and we dampen it or hold it some way, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to diminish the vibration potential. I would think that in all of the instruments we're going to look at, especially our metal instruments, we're going to start with a premise that we want to allow for maximum vibration, and then we learn how to control it, like we did on the bass drum. So the triangle should be hung in a way where it's suspended freely and can float and have as little contact with physical objects. To do this, I have created a little clip here. Now this looks like well, many of us would know this as a clothes peg, but you note that this one I have a special spring I put in, and it has a special monofilament fishing line. This was made for me by fantastic percussionist Tim Hauptman, but there are many of these commercially available on the market. This particular one has the ability to just hang your triangle in like so. Okay, we're going to hold our triangle like this. We hold it between our thumb and our ring finger on top, and this way we can control the triangle. Now let's have a quick listen to this triangle from the 1920s by the Leedy Company. You notice it has a nice strong attack. Not really a pitch, but I can sort of pick out a pitch a little. Yum. Where do we play it to get the best sound? Well, if I play it on top, really it doesn't ring very well. If I play it on the corner, we can almost think of the corners as antinodes, the place where we have the least amount of vibration. So the nodal point is about 1 inch in from the corner, right about in there, and you see where I've got the beater. Let me take my favorite triangle, my one that I've had for so many years, my Abel triangle, okay? And I'm going to play this one about 1 inch from the corner. There we go. I'm getting a real predominance of a wide range of overtones close to that corner. Same here. Well, actually we have quite a different pitch there. It's important that we try to get this lack of a pitch because it can interfere with the pitch and the orchestration in our music. So you actually have to practice playing the triangle to try and find the place where we have the least amount of overtones. Let's grab some of our different triangles that we have here. Let's see here. Here's a triangle. This is about a 10-inch, and it's much wider. You notice that it's bigger. Almost sounds a little bit like a clock coil. Right? This is from about 1950, this Premier triangle. Let's see here. Here is a standard triangle that you might find in a children's Orff instruments or a play instrument. You notice it doesn't have much of a shimmer. Really, it sounds muted. It doesn't really do much for us. But you know, it's a different sound, and there may be a time when you want that not so great sound, but it's worth considering. Let's see what else we have here. Here's a bronze triangle. This one's made by our friends at Grover, Neil Grover, wonderful percussionist. And this one is bronze, and if we can get a close-up on it, I'm not sure that we'll see it, but you can see that it's been hammered, hand-hammered. So it has all kinds of little embossed edges in it where it has indentations. And I think that these add to the harmonic content by not being so absolutely perfect. Let's listen to this one. Lots of beautiful overtones. Lovely, that's an absolutely lovely sounding triangle. And of course, you hear that ring? Hard to find a specific pitch. Okay? I think that when that shimmer hits the orchestra, if the orchestra is playing, it really opens everything up. I'm not sure physically what happens. I suppose we'd have to ask a physicist, but I believe it takes all the molecules in the room and the sound vibrations, and it sort of sets them in motion. And it's a wonderful sound in the orchestra. Let's see, I've got here's a great one that I found when I was in Calcutta, India. This is a gigantic one, and it has a big sort of edge on the bottom of it. And I thought it would sound fantastic. Let's take a big beater. Let's see what this one sounds like. In this one, I hear a real pitch. And it also sounds a bit thuddy. But you know, this is the one that I'd probably use for the Ma Pa cattle, come and get it. I don't think I ever have an orchestral reason to do that circular ring, but you know, it's effective. And I guess you could see somebody doing that in a show. Okay, so that's that big triangle there. I also have a much larger Grover triangle, and I think this one sort of has the nice combination of the beautiful overtones, and it'll ring gorgeous. How's that for a dirty harmonics? You know, it's a big, wide, dirty sound. Fantastic. Okay, let's talk about where you play, when you play, how you hold it. We've gotten into some of that a little bit, but let's redefine some of that if we could. I'm going to grab my triangle, my trusty triangle. Holding the triangle. We see how we hold it here. Once again, we have our music stand, our triangle up in the air, our conductor out there, and if I'm going to play, you think of your triangle beater as being parallel with the perpendicular to the floor, so that when you strike your triangle, we get a nice clear projection. Sometimes I see people coming in on an angle like this and down like that. You'd be surprised how many people miss the triangle. You don't want to miss it. So you want to set yourself up in a situation where you're guaranteed success. You want a guaranteed strike rate. So you get on top of your triangle, you get it close in here, you have your beautiful, this will be a tap stroke because we're going down and back. A downstroke, just like on snare drum, will stay close, followed by, you want upstroke. Once again, our laws of physics come into play. If you want a soft triangle beater, triangle stroke, you play close to the triangle. If you want it softer, I'm going to grab a softer triangle beater. If I want it softer again, even smaller. Or I could even turn it around. Like so. We roll on the triangle in this corner here, and it's not dissimilar to our snare drum stroke in our traditional grip, where I'm rotating my hand. Okay, so I sort of cock my hand in a bit of an angle. I get into this lower corner here, and I rotate my hand in a nice even manner. You note that I bring the triangle and the beater halfway through. Why is that? So that it doesn't slip out in the middle of the roll and all of a sudden leave you hanging. If I want to crescendo, I'll start close knit in this corner and work my way out. And then back in. I can also roll in the very top. And in this particular one, you can see here that I've got my triangle beater coming out that way and on this side, so that I'm getting both. Again, like this, down in here. For that particular stroke, I may have a wider beater, something without, that's the idea. Right? But a thicker piece of metal I might use. You know, you don't have to get too crazy about what kind of beaters and type of metal. One of my favorites that I have is just a long, straight rod. And I'll probably bring that out in a little while. These are nice. These are the Balter beaters, and you can change a little weight on it, and you've got two different sizes. It's interesting how much different they sound. Now let's talk a little bit about, so we've talked about hand holding the triangle. You know, there are some times that you really can't hold it. Maybe you have to play a rapid succession of 30-second notes or semiquavers or demi-semiquavers. So what we'll do with our triangle is we may set it on a stand. If you look at my loop here, now this is going to be a little bit tricky to see, but I'll separate it so you can see. I've actually got 2 loops on this particular triangle stand, so that in case one breaks in the middle of a concert, the other one is there. And you can use monofilament fishing line for inside your stand, but on this particular one, I've used harp strings. We have a wonderful harp teacher at our school, and I get some of the fine gut harp strings that I use for hanging the triangle on a stand. For this particular one, let's say I have to play some 16th notes and I need some articulation. So it's like 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, decka, 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 3, 4, like this, right? So in this particular one, I may play, let me just get matched beaters. I've got a matched set now, okay? And I'm going to line up on both sides of the triangle here like this. If I need to roll, right? Your triangle's going to have this tendency to rotate and move around. So you want to get in here and really keep your sticks parallel, I suppose, with each other and perpendicular striking areas. Like this. You can also raise it up higher and play straight on the bottom. Like so. If we have to play a fast passage and we need, you know, we're a little bit out of control with that one because we're not able to hold the triangle, right? So my favorite, of course, would be to be holding it in my triangle clip. Let me show you one of our other clips. If you don't want to make a clip like that, here's a clip that we can see that I've made out of a coat hanger. Okay, another sort of invention by Alan Abel. This is bending the coat hanger. You take a wire coat hanger and you wrap it around, and I've got some that I've made. This is one of his that you hold, and you can hold the triangle like that. It can also hang for storage on a music stand. I like a little bit bigger. Here's one I made in high school. That's been one of my favorites for over 35 years. And you see this one, I've made it a little bit bigger so that it hangs. It's hanging in here like this between my thumb and finger and index finger. And I'm going to hang my triangle so that my playing edge is here. What's beautiful is I've got that lovely grip on it, and it allows this middle finger here to actually dampen the triangle, and I can dampen it with my hand. So let's say I want to play something like ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, 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 right? So here I'm holding it up, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, ta, ta, ta. If I want to dampen a little bit and make the TTs a little bit softer, right? If a conductor says, hey, can you dampen that triangle? Or I know in the Liszt piano concerto, there's staccato markings on a triangle and things like this. Well, we can actually control our tone. Of course, this comes in with our Brazilian handheld triangle, where we're playing a triangle in such a way where we're holding in one hand and we're so I'm holding and opening and closing. Right? Which is one of our world percussion techniques. Now, I think I've pretty much covered everything in the triangle, with the exception of what do you do when a composer asks you to play more than one triangle, and he may say, oh, I'd like high, medium, and low pitches, 3 triangles, and you're also playing maybe tambourine or cymbals or tom-toms. Well, we do have multiple ways of hanging them on stands, and you can see that here. And this will also demonstrate that all of the triangles can sound very different from each other. With a couple of beaters. Beautiful sound. I think the triangles sound glorious, and best when you play in an orchestra to let them ring through to the end. If we dampen the triangles, it's like closing the window. We lose that beautiful openness that we had. Again, so we only dampen the triangle when the orchestra is dampened. If you're playing it, you let it ring through until the musical reason to dampen it. If everybody else is dampened, you dampen it. But we don't just stop it just because we're done playing it. You always use the best musical information on what's in the score and what everybody's doing, and you understand that this has such a beautiful effect on the rest of the music that it's like a breath of fresh air. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on the triangle. And again, you can send me questions if you want at GaryFrance.com. Thank you.
We live drums.